Thank you very much, Monica, for that wonderful introduction. And I also covered Summer Hill, where you had your fantastic shop as well. So, lovely introduction. Good morning, everyone. How are you? You can just, this is interesting. I've been to La Montage many, many times, never in the daytime. And I think mostly for Bulldog Rugby League functions. And if some of you remember back, this used to be the old Apia Soccer Club. That's going back a long, long way. Can I begin by, of course, thanking Deborah for that extraordinary welcome to country. And it just struck me what a wonderful way to start a conference about inclusion, hearing one of Australia's original languages spoken so beautifully and so musically by Deborah. And I join with her in recognising Wangal country and Eora country. And I think it's important, particularly at a conference like this one, as Monica said, full of extraordinary people and educators. And can't you tell how well organised it is? You can just tell when I came in here just how thoughtful the people, that those of you that have organised this conference. But listening to Deborah's welcome in language, of course, is an extraordinary way to start a conference about inclusion. Inclusion in terms of multicultural, Aboriginal, refugee, humanitarian, gender and disability and everything else that goes with that. Because I think we sometimes forget, and this is something that you can do in all of your centres, in all of your organisations, is actually, use a welcome to country or acknowledgement to country. Something that I measure things by as I go to a lot of schools, as you understand. And you know what? I don't think there is one school that I've been to in the last 2 years that hasn't paid or included that ancient protocol. And it is such an inclusive thing because it doesn't have to be an Aboriginal person that does it. All of you have the capacity and the right to do an acknowledgement of country. And I'm sure from also the nods around the room is that you do it on a regular basis. There's nothing magic about it. There's nothing to be worried about. It's simply paying respect, and it's also, most importantly, everyone, good manners. And if that's the way you can think about it, there's no problem with getting each of the children in your centres on a rotational basis, actually doing that every morning, and that is a wonderful way, a fantastic way to start the day in an inclusive manner, as many schools do. So when we also think about acknowledgement and recognition of country, it fits perfectly into the theme of this gathering today. And part of our job as educators, no matter what the mantle is have the responsibility for truth-telling. That is the most powerful thing that we have in our capacity as educators. And part of truth-telling, of course, is reminding ourselves of the extraordinary gift that this country embodies in terms of its First Peoples. I heard an acknowledgement of country the other day given by a non-Aboriginal man, and he said something that just struck a chord with me. And he said, we acknowledge country because Aboriginal people have been here since the first sunrise. And I just thought, wow, I wish I'd thought of that. I didn't. And the other thing that I just was thinking about this morning, getting ready to come over and share some thoughts with you, is taking me back to when I was a member of, beginning out at the Aboriginal Education Consultative group. And I remember going up to I think it might have been Glenbrook. It was somewhere in the lower Blue Mountains. And there was the endless bloody debate about whether the word invasion should be referred to in our schools. I was a member of the Board of Studies, and I can't tell you how many times we visited that. And it's just about truth-telling. So what you do, of course, is refer to the two perspectives in 1778, and that was whether you're on the shore or out in the middle of Botany Bay. It's pretty easy to do. I just didn't convince John Laws until I said to him, well, you own a property, don't you, John? He said, yes. I said, well, how would you feel if a bunch of people set up camp at the end of your driveway and you had no control over it? I think he got the message then. So anyway, look, I don't think I have anything brilliant to share with you today except to make a few points. When I got here and looked at this that you have on your tables, the keys to inclusion, and the fact that you're going to write your own key today really says it all. It's an absolute brilliant resource and so sensible. But let me just make a few points. You know, I'm now responsible for developing the Labor Party education policy to take us through to the 2019 election. I'm not here because I'm a politician. I'm here because I've had 35 years or something in the education space. In fact, guess what? I'm going to my high school reunion next month, and it's 40 years. And I just thought, oh my gosh! So I'm on a diet, you know, I'm running, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to look the best there, I'm determined. But let me just share with you my thoughts, and hopefully it'll make some sense to you. I am very pleased that finally we're having the dialogue in Australia, finally, about something that you've known all your working life, and that is the most important years of schooling is not year 12. It's not the transition years from 6 to 7. It's not those years between 5 and 6. They're all critically important. We know now, and finally the message is getting out, that the most critical years are what happens before kindergarten. It's absolutely the critical years. In fact, I don't know how many of you saw the Fairfax editorial the other day. Of course, this is Gonski week. We won't go there. But finally, even the broadsheet, the commentators are talking about this, and this is what the editorial said. While a few children will never have the academic ability to complete Year 12, even with extra support, the Herald believes that every child deserves a chance to do his or her best. Every child deserves the chance to do his or her best. Yet many children enter school already disadvantaged compared with their peers. Their parents were not equipped financially, educationally, or geographically to make choices for their children, and the school system often lets them down. And I think that also feeds exactly into what we're talking about here today. The importance of early childhood education will be the fundamental plank that I will be pursuing over the next 3 years in every opportunity I get. I know, and some of you work with me very closely, that for Aboriginal children, so many Aboriginal children do not get an early childhood experience. So many children that are in families that are financially challenged don't get an early childhood experience. So many children that you work with in all the groups don't get an early childhood experience. And unless that is there, you go into kindergarten already behind the 8 ball. And you know as well as I do, within that system, it is very hard for a child to get support to catch up. And I am of the firm view that if a child cannot read by the end of year 3 in our system, it is very probable that they will not be reading by the time they are 15. And to me, I think what we should all be shouting loud and clear, it is a child's right to have an early childhood education experience, and it is a child's right to know how to read competently by the end of year 3. Now, that might not sound like rocket science, but I can tell you it is not the mainstream thinking. And for my challenge, and I know that you would embrace this, that has to be, in my view, the mantra that us as educators know and understand. We also know, thank you, we also know, I know I'm on the right track. Gosh, this is reinforcing. I might just get up and say it at question times. I got kicked out yesterday. I lasted about 10 minutes. Don't ask me what I did, but anyway. I think we also know that that issue of access is so important. With the National Quality Framework, with the 15 hours access is all very well in theory. I was talking to a mum from, gosh, I can't remember the name of the town, way out there past Nyngan, who said that unless there is some flexibility in terms of the way in which the state government's providing that 15 hours, little schools that don't have enough 4-year-olds and aren't allowed to take in 3-year-olds are actually going to close their doors. And the mirror there, or the opening, is just for the next couple of months. So that issue of access, so critical. But what happens within your places? It is, as you have demonstrated by not even saying a word, but just what's in front of me, what's on the tables. It is about the atmosphere. It is about the teacher. It is about the curriculum and openness to difference. It is about the involvement of the community, and it is also about story. It is about song, and it is about language. Monica, in her opening, described where her beginnings were. And the beginnings are also in our centres, where language, openness, flexibility, creativity, and a natural inclusion of Aboriginal perspectives, of perspectives from various cultures and faiths are just normal. They're natural. They're not something that's different. And for too long, I think that it's been seen as something as different. Who are we as Australians? We are you. We are me. And we are a nation that can teach the world what it means for inclusivity, for what it means for respect for other people's language, and what it means to make it a normal part of every child's educational experience. And that is the power that we have as educators, and that is the power that you have as having those gorgeous little people within your love and embrace very early on in life. And can I just finish up by saying this? You know, we have at the moment the first generation of young people coming through to the end of secondary school, growing up knowing the truth because of what's taught in schools. And it seems to me that that truth starts with you, and it starts in the most extraordinary way of just making who we are, reflecting back to young people. We respect your culture, we love what you bring. You are instrumental to forging the way in which we want our country to be. And you're the ones that can do it and do it. So thank you. And I hope that's been helpful to you.